everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I am Rachel D. Adams, and I am helping out by taking on Breaking the Block this weekend. I am joined so far by Mama Maggie Ward and Laura Nettles. So
Hello.
I'll let you guys go from there. It looks like Mama Maggie popped up as the first one in the row. So if you want to do an intro and then go to Laura.
Hello, lovelies. I am Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, migraine overcomer. You can't see my books. I have books, lots and lots of books. I'm on Amazon, and I also have my rough drafts for free on Inkit under Penumbra Mine, Ward. And yeah, so all the stuff and this stuff and this stuff.
Nice. I am Laura Nettles. I have a horror collection out called Tiny Shivers. I have over 30 short stories, flash fictions, drabbles published in anthologies, magazines, and stuff, including the No Sleep podcast, which was really cool. And I am working on some romance. So horror, romance, and yes, it's fun.
Well, if everybody's here, you might know me as Rachel D. Adams. I go by Rach with all of my writerly friends. And I, along with Don McClellan, have both a prequel set and a main set of paranormal romance, urban fantasy novels in series format. And we are hoping to finish up both series by the first quarter of 2026. Hopefully, if everything goes well. So, we are here because Sam started this streaming of ideas when it comes to having writer's block. And we kind of just we usually start off with questions and then we keep going. We go all over this roller coaster of topics that come up during our stream. Hello, Eva. How are you doing this morning? So I have a few questions that I had written down, and then if anybody has more questions, put them in the chat. Laura says, "I'm done."
Because I'm done
I
adulting.
didn't know.
Go to Disney.
Keep going. Let's go to Disney. I'm good with let's keep going to Disney. I've also got on the sleeve, it says, "It will all be all right."
Ah.
So, one of my favorite shirts. Dragons! Roses!
Yep. See, I have, this is actually the youngest sweatshirt. It says it's one of the always iconic sweatshirts that's got all the tattoo graffiti on it.
Mm-hmm. Tattoo flash.
I was like, oh, look what's on the top of the laundry pile. Soft.
That's one of the things I love about these. They're very soft.
Yeah. And it's warm because it's like 34 degrees outside right now.
We have a heat wave going compared to that, so.
Oh, well, we were really warm last week. We're doing that Colorado in the winter. It's really warm. It's really cold. So we call it springter because it's spring, winter, fake spring and winter together. And it's like, so we're alternating between really lovely weather and really poopy weather.
It is that time of year. I think that's part of what's tearing my sinuses up. So, since I don't see any questions popping in, I'm going to use the one that I had earlier and put in the Facebook group. Let me see where it's going to show it at. Ah, there, it worked. How do authors who are sensitive toughen up their skin for critiques, betas, editors, and reviews?
That's tough. So a lot of the time you have to be in it's because you're not in the right mental headspace when you are asking for critiques and things like that. So sometimes I would suggest not getting critiques for stuff that's like your baby that you're writing for fun that's not going to get published until like you've built up enough self-confidence that you're like, yeah, this is fun. I know what I'm doing. And now I'm thinking of maybe publishing and then start going for critiques. But if you're just writing for fun, it's not it's not a necessity to get critiqued to open up those wounds. So, but if you're going for publishing, you're gonna need to toughen up because you have no control over reviews of your say. And if you can't take a critique, the reviews are gonna gut you. So, like, if I would not publish if you can't get a critique from a beta reader, from an editor, from somebody, because you gotta see what's there before you hit publish, so it goes to the rest of the world where you can't control who reads it.
And you your personality internally, how you deal with the imp, how you deal with critiques in all other parts of your life, these are going to feel hyper focused on your book because you have spent so much time, you have spent so much effort. You can't do this much work without there being a labor of love, and it is a lot of people. It's the mindset with which you approach getting the critiques and the stuff like that. If you are super sensitive to anything that even remotely sounds like it's a critique, like in other parts of your life, it's going to be amplified when you're trying to put your writing out there. And you need to develop this mindset where the opinions of other people, while they can help you, they are not the word of God. They are not the word of some deity. They are not the final thing. They are not a personal attack. It's someone else. Their filter, their goggles that they see the world with are not the same as yours. They have not put the time in it that you have. They're not going to love it the way you do. If they do, that's awesome. More than likely they won't. And so you have to like draw this line, and this is really hard to do, between your work and yourself. A critique on your work is not a personal attack. Unless you're like me and you get a rejection letter that says you need to stop writing. It's obvious you have brain damage. Then you just go, and you write and start publishing anyway because screw those people. And yeah, it's for a lot of first-time writers, for a lot of beginning writers, they are so in love with their world. They are so enamored. Yes, you've been put in a kiln and cooked with glass on your surface. That's what it feels like sometimes. It feels like you have been burnt up. But you're in love with your world, or you wouldn't put that much work with it. It's like perfect child syndrome. Everyone knows that parent who's, my child can do no wrong. Your child needs the exorcist. Holy water. So yeah, when you start doing this, and like writers go around in circles, they get very afraid. I made this mistake myself when I first started publishing Pagosa and Enemies, the Pagosa Cliffs and Enemies series. Is I had an editor who was like, I take the therapy parts out. Nobody wants to read that, and so I did, and it changed The main character Millie's arc. It changed her arc. It changed who she was, and I was like, I don't love my world anymore. So I went back and put it in, and you know, it's really easy to like really take this to heart, and the imp imposter syndrome, the imp will whisper to you. They will pick up the criticisms and whisper them to you constantly in the voice of the person that you most want to have gotten approval from in your past. And that makes it even harder. And it's like, you know, I've seen authors fall apart. They get their first critique, they get a harsh criticism, and they fall apart. And it's like they're not attacking you. Yeah, so anything you get, take it as a suggestion, but it's not gospel. You do not have to do what anyone tells you to do. I mean, if someone told Laura, "Oh, you're Drabbles, oh, you're not a real writer. You can just do these little tiny things." You're writing ad copy. Ooh, that's so hard. They have an AI app for that. Yeah, screw you.
I've heard that so many times.
My teeth and like whenever I think about the bone fairy, I'm like, yeah.
Or you're not an author, you're a writer. You're a writer because you don't have an actual novel out there, and it's not traditionally published, and it's not one of the big five. So you're just a writer. And it's like, what?
You're a writer because you don't have a
I'm
degree.
I'm a writer. But
Yeah.
I'm an author too because I have books. Hello. It's the gatekeeping for me got me. I'll get.
Yeah,
I don't want to. I don't want to get on that slippery box right now.
And the
But yeah,
gatekeepers will, the people who feel entitled to be gatekeepers, if they find your soft spot,
they'll keep
they
poking
will
it.
stab a dagger in it and just twist and twist and twist. So yeah, it's
I hate that that's part of
developing.
community, but it is part of community. There's usually at least one person, that's
Yeah, the toughening up against criticism is one of the hardest things that you will do. But it's a thing that is necessary because not everybody's going to love your world, not everybody's going to love your books. That's why there's so many different genres, because not everybody reads and likes the same genres.
Also,
And
I would say that take some space between finishing something and sending it out and reading the feedback. Get some space. When you get the critique letter or document, whatever they send you, sit on it for a little bit, have your feels, read it, have your feels, eat your ice cream, and then go back to it a couple days later, and then do the more conscious, like, okay, which of these critique points are speaking to me. Like, it's okay to have the feels.
also, when you're first sending a book out for your first round of critiques, please don't send it to somebody who doesn't read anything in that genre, because then you get the or, oh, I hated it. Why? I don't even read this kind of books. Why would you send the, and then it gets real personal.
Oh, keep
So
in
yeah.
mind that some people will volunteer to read your book, and then they'll come back and be like, "Oh, well, this isn't my cup of tea." But I'm just like, really? Why did you read it?
Why did
Why? Why did you take it on?
and why
So
would you
people are just people. People are unexplainable sometimes. So,
Yeah.
take every, like Maggie said, it's not the gospel, just you're taking their critiques, and you're like, okay, well, this part I understand, this part I understand, this part I don't get. You may want to go back to them and ask them about it, but at the same time, it's like sometimes it's just like, okay, well, I appreciated a lot of the other stuff that you put into it, but this particular suggestion, I don't think I'm going to do that because you may not have understood what I was trying to get to. So, but always, yeah, don't. My big thing, I guess, is from I started writing and stuff when I was well when other people saw my writing, it was mostly technical writing for healthcare and stuff like that. So it was part of my job. So I kind of had to take the bumps and bruises, and it gave me tougher skin. So if you're doing this to begin with your baby writing, just keep in mind that it's not everybody's baby. Just like your child is wonderful to you, and its intricacies, and what the moods it's in, and what's best for that child. Somebody else may not, so they may have a different opinion of your child and how they act and stuff. So kind of that's how I look at it. Dawn is here, who is my co-writer, and I wasn't sure if you wanted to weigh in on this. How do authors who are sensitive toughen up their skin for critiques, betas, editors, and reviews?
Me, because I don't really like to put my writing out there. Anyways, you had to twist my arm to begin with, so I don't take it well, to be honest. You just have to go with the punches. Hey. Sorry,
It's the doggos. We've all had the doggo situation happen this morning.
He's right underneath my desk. Sorry. But I have to take it one at a time. I really don't let it get to me because, like they say, it's just one person's opinion. Some are good, some are bad, but you have to take it like that. That it's not everybody's thoughts, it's one person's thoughts. And if you're doing it for somebody else's opinion, you're doing it for the wrong reason. We do it because we like to, and she and my husband and her husband all convinced me that we needed to share it, because why are we enjoying it? We by ourselves. We needed to put it out there so other people can enjoy it. And there are other people out there that are going to enjoy your writing. Just because one person doesn't like it doesn't mean 900 other people aren't enjoying it. So you just have to look at it like that.
I also agree with what Eva put on here. Use strangers so that you don't react outwardly as easily, maybe, or hold resentment for a friend or a peer. Also, keep in mind that your friends are not necessarily the people that are going to read your book. They'll do stuff for you because they're your friend. It's not necessarily the best thing to do. And it continues here, and then just do it. Get feedback over and over. Maybe go into without the expectation of using that feedback at all, but you've got it, and that way it's in your mind, so that if you're rereading that chapter per se, and the person had the problem with, then you can be like, oh, well, I never thought about it that way. I've done that a couple of times. I'm like, oh, I saw the scene going this way. They saw it a completely different way. And it makes me go, okay, so we really do need to change up whose point of view or who speaks this line, or, things like that. So even though it might have annoyed me at first, that criticism actually did wind up coming in handy. So don't immediately think of any kind of critique or feedback as negative. So we had a conversation about fires and weather here too. It's like here we've got gale force winds coming in here and there. So you wind up with bad stuff.
I would not mind like the yo-yo weather and everything if we would just get some moisture with it, because right now it's like the other day I was we were doing mythology lab. Jenna and I were supposed to do it. And I was like, yeah, the power's been off all day. The wind is blowing. We're getting multiple fire alerts. And like what would have been halfway through myth labs, we got a pre-evacuation warning for a grass fire. And it was like, oh, great. Here we go again.
Yeah. Our temps have been like in the 40s and 50s in the evening and almost up to 100 in the afternoons. So we've had several fires already. My husband had one around his work the other day, so they weren't sure whether they were going to have to evacuate his work site. So yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
Miranda says, good question. You never realize you have a tougher skin until a beta and a critique read. Personally, it takes time, and you have the final say in your novel. Exactly. Same way with blurbs and stuff like that. It's like, I can give suggestions for blurbs. I can rewrite a blurb. That doesn't mean you have to accept it. It means these are my suggestions, and hopefully it helps, put things in an order. Most of the time people have really cool blurbs, but they're not putting their information in a specific order. And if they put it in the specific order and then have a gotcha phrase here and there, then that brings the reader in. It's not about, the book as far as like, telling them everything that happens in the book. It's those gotcha phrases and stuff to actually get the reader to pick up the book to begin with. And so if the person gives me feedback, that's the reason I love to go back and forth when it comes to blurb writing. It's like, okay, so now you tell me what you think, and then I'll tell you what I think, and and it works out better that way.
And the thing with like blurbs and stuff like that is as writers, we live in that world, and I like to describe the blurbs as grandma's recipes. Because grandma knows all the ingredients. She's known all the ingredients for a really long time. And she's like, it's a pinch of this and a dash of that and about this much of something else. And so, and oh, mine doesn't taste the way yours taste. Well, yeah, and then you discover, oh, there's an ingredient I'm leaving out. And that's the way blurbs are. As authors, we are already immersed and invested in this world. And to give a cookie to somebody outside this world, you're giving them that taste. And the taste that you have up here is because you know everything about this world. But out there, they're just like, oh, it's okay. And so, yeah, it's hard to... Blurbs are one of the things I struggle with, because it's like, I'm going to tell you everything about my world in 4 sentences. Everything. everything.
I've seen outlines. I have literally read outlines, and I'm like, why did you give away all of that?
Early on, a lot of my blurbs were basically a story summary.
Yeah, it took I guess it was in college that I started learning the difference between summarizing something and blurbing and things like that. And then once I started doing my own research and go into the different writer tracks and stuff and Gen Con and some of the other conventions, it's like, and hanging out with some of the writers, then I realized, oh, and there's also an elevator blurb and all this other stuff. It's like a complete rearrangement of my brain on it. Eva says, I feel embarrassed, mostly like, okay, thanks for the critique. Do you now see me as dumb or less of a peer? Because I feel awkward in that way. That's something that everybody has to understand. We all have to do this. Like, we all go through that imp, as Maggie coined the phrase. I love that. I love that idea. Imposter syndrome, imp. That's cool. So, yeah, but yeah, if you're asking peers for help, they've gone through this too. So don't feel bad. Don't feel awkward. We've all had that feeling of, oh, now do they feel bad?
I go through it a lot, so don't worry about it.
Let's say hello. We've got Morningstar. We've got Beth. Hello, Beth. Sam's popping
Sam's.
in.
Hello, lovelies.
Rita, who's already been on here. Eva. I'm hoping I don't miss anybody. Thank you guys for showing up. If you have any questions, toss them at us and we will try our best to answer. Eva says sometimes harsh opinions only help me know the feedback isn't right for the story, too. Have you guys had that experience?
Well, and in those cases, I think in our case, what we do is when we find that happens, and we take those things and we kind of put them off to the side. If we feel that it's the same and we agree, because sometimes we do read through and we're like, yeah, they're right. That does kind of not fit there. So we'll pull those scenes and set them off, not really ditch them, but set them off to the side and wait.
I never waste a scene.
Don't waste a scene. We have a stash of scenes that we don't throw them away, but you just hold on to them, because you'll come to a spot where you don't know what to do in that particular area. But hey, you can always go to your stash of scenes and find one. And hey, ta-da, you can put that scene there. You don't have to have all that work because it's there.
I like what Eva says, remembering all those who never read or offer feedback can help too. Like in 9.9 cases out of 10, the feedback was in itself an effort of love,
Yeah. And like I said earlier, remember, their goggles, they're looking at your world through their experience goggles. And they might see things differently than you do.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move us on to the next question I have here. These are more like questions, not really about breaking the block, honestly, but it's what I've had come up recently. Should authors ask readers to contact them about problems with their books rather than asking them to review it?
No.
Like typos?
If you have like typos are like weird, like I had a weird thing where I was having random blank pages that I couldn't see on the back end of Amazon that I couldn't see. But when readers were getting the books, they could see them. And a weird thing where like the background, like if you read in dark mode, the background of the letters was like in a color. And I couldn't see it on my end. So like technical difficulties, things like that, I would say yes. But the problem with it, and this goes to me, this relates very closely of, do you read your own reviews? Do you respond to your reviews? And for me, that is a hard no, because like I said, their goggles and your goggles are not the same goggles. And also, we have all heard about it. We've all seen it where somebody critiqued something of an author, sometimes a very well-known author. The author added them, and then it was war. And you can blow up your author career if you start arguing with people who didn't enjoy your book or found something in your book they didn't like. Now, are there things like cultural biases? Are there things like gender biases? Are there things like chauvinism and internalized misogyny and stuff like that somebody should point out to you? Well, this is why you have sensitivity readers. And if something like this comes up and none of your critique partners found it and none of your beta readers found it, that might be a sign that your pool for critique readers is too small. Because if you have a bunch of people like you reading and critiquing your book, and then someone from the outside finds something, that might be a problem. Like I beta read a book from my publishing house, and there was a pool of like 20 people going over this book, and I was the only Native American in the pool, and it was a colonial adventure type romance thing. And I'm like, okay, here's the problem. It's okay for you to use these terms in spoken language because that's how they spoke then. It's not okay for you to use these terms in the written portion of the book. Because, yeah, if you are using certain slang terms in the, not just in the internalized thoughts of the characters, but in the body, yeah, then it becomes a problem. And so it's this, if a reader reaches out to you, chooses to reach out to you, definitely look at it, get their opinion or something, because it is something that triggered them. However, for the most part, I would say, unless you're specifically doing this for critique, for feedback, for content sensitivity, don't do this. Because everything can get screenshotted, everything can get shared in the internet, and if you start to get angry, if you start to feel attacked, if you start to retaliate, all of that can blow up in your face. And it might not blow up in your face now, and it might blow up in your face when one of your books is becoming a movie. It might blow up in your face when one of your books has been picked up by the New York Times bestseller. So yeah, the internet is eternal, and if you get upset, you might say something, and years or decades later, that might come back to really bite you in the butt.
So I'll take it as critique. If somebody reaches out to me and lets me know something, like what Mama Maggie said, it comes in handy if they're nice enough to go, hey, I don't know if you realize this, but something's going on with the formatting, things like that. I appreciate that. But when it comes to, like, I have seen some authors get torn apart by readers. And that doesn't just go for reviews. Like, they literally reached out to an author and did this. And I'm like, that's going too far. You have way too much time on your hands, sweetheart. Please don't do that. Most of us authors, we're taking a chance by putting something out there that we care about in the first place. And then you're going to rip somebody apart because they didn't do it the way you wanted them to do it. Come on now.
And there are some readers.
Cool.
There are some readers who, if they don't agree with your character arc, or they don't agree with the plot arc of your story, they will try to harass authors to change it to what they want. And it's like, oh, honey, that's what fan fiction is for.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's what fan fiction's for. Have that.
Yeah, and it's, try this. And this, I like to call this Wattpad syndrome, because people writing on Wattpad will alter the arc of their story to make their readers happier, and end up writing themselves into a corner, or writing themselves into a. If you're trying to, if you try to please everyone, you'll please no one, least of all yourself. And that very much applies to writing a book and responding to critiques. It's like I said, when I pulled the therapy things out of Pagosa Cliffs and Enemies, when I pulled them out of Millie's story, it changed who Millie was. It changed her from being this person who is working to overcome her trauma to someone who is just stuck in her victimhood. So slight changes, and literally there I going back and putting in, like, I realized when book two was coming out years ago, that I had pulled, I went back and I put in 11 sentences across book 2 and 3. Just 11 sentences. And it completely changes the character arc. So yeah, if they reach out to you about something, like because I deal with overcomer fiction, I deal with trauma survivors and SA survivors and abuse survivors and difficult subjects like drug addiction and alcohol addiction. I've had people reach out to me, and some of them have said, "Oh, it's nice of you to share your addiction story." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that wasn't me, but I knew someone." And so yeah, it's, and like I said, everybody's goggles are different. So yeah, when your book is a movie and your 8-year-old social media tantrum comes out, use your humanity to market. Yeah. Yeah. You know, the Karens will come for you in cancel culture.
Ride
And
with it.
just let it go. Do not fight with the Karens.
Sounds like kind of need to keep an eye on that reader, because if they track someone down for a bad thing, imagine what they do for their favorite author.
Yeah, that's how the fandom wars start. That's how the fandom wars start. And let me tell you, there's like, you think the K-pop versus J-pop fandom groups are crazy? No. You watch some author fandoms going at each other. That gets wild.
MCU versus DC. I'm sorry. We have experience with that.
Yeah, just a little. Yeah, just a tad.
Yeah, well,
But
and
yeah,
it's like, and then there's things like when, who was it? When the Simon Schuster hearings were going on, and like all the stuff with Penguin Random House was coming out and stuff, and people were going and they were just one starring and review bombing everybody from that publisher. And it's like, that doesn't hurt the publisher, it hurts the author.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the thing going on with Amazon right now. It's like all of BookTube, all of AuthorTube, Book Talk, Bookstagram, everybody's like, please don't, if the authors are on Amazon, just please look at them as a small business and don't start
Yeah.
review bombing them because they're on Amazon and you're angry at Bezos for, you're not
You're
affecting
angry at
him.
Bezos. Be angry at
Yeah,
Bezos.
yeah, don't start review bombing people. And if they're on a social media platform you don't like, don't start review bombing them because they're on a social media platform you don't agree with.
I haven't
And
seen I haven't seen it happen yet, or at least not among my authors. But I have seen the back and forth when it comes to the boycott situation going on social media, where there are people who are wanting to boycott completely, and then there are people who are like, wait, this is how I make my money. I'm a small business. Please, consider that. If you want to boycott, then boycott this portion or that portion. I did a whole article on it because
yeah,
it started on social media, and I was just like, yo, guys, calm down.
yeah, your
Um,
Substack on selective boycotting was very good.
Thank you. But yeah, it started off like that. People were starting to get mad with each other, and it's like, you guys are all authors. Calm down.
Yeah.
Nobody
And
needs to leave. It's just a matter of be aware that you might want to plan for this sort of thing to happen.
yeah, and if somebody approaches you and says, unless you take this thing out of your book, I'm going to bomb you and get everybody else I know to bomb you. You need to ask that. You need to seriously ask yourself, do I really need to take this out of my book? Or is this something internalized with this person or this group of people that really has nothing to do with me?
Right.
I know somebody whose book got flagged, and because two people of the same sex held hands in it. And so, like, sometimes it's not you, sometimes it's them.
Oh, then we're in very terrible shape.
Oops.
We are terrible. We're bad.
That's a whole situation. That I mean, that's a whole situation I'm worried about. But at the same time, I'm not going to stop writing. These are my
Well, see,
characters.
and that's my deal. I don't write for other people. We write for us.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that enjoy it, great. And the ones that are like, I can't believe you write that stuff. Well, then don't read it. Go
Yeah.
someplace else. You don't like what I write? There's plenty of other books out in the sea. Go find one. I'm not forcing you. I'm not twisting your arm and telling you, read my book.
Yeah.
No.
And I mean, if you want to support these, like, don't support Amazon, don't put money in their pocket, these timed boycotts, do what I did. Like, I threw up, like, for the boycott. I'm like, okay, have books for free. Have free books. Here you go. Nobody makes any money, but we're not supporting the overlord A. Take some books. Just take them. And so, yeah, there's different kinds of protests that you can do. There's different kinds of way that you can support a cause without necessarily hurting yourself or someone else.
I agree, Eva. They're just starting. Especially the younger ones, and honestly, some my age too. It's kind of like you've never done this kind of thing before, so you're not looking at the big picture. I love your passion. That's the way I look at it. It's like I love their passion. Go for it, but at some point you're going to start realizing the big picture. But it's an evolution, and remember the real target.
Yeah.
And I always say that with a smile on my face because of the Target situation. I can't cancel Prime without losing access to photos and videos. I don't have the spoons to figure out otherwise. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. Time shopping protests are a privilege that the very poor cannot understand. You shop when you gotta, with what you have, and where you can. Yeah, that's one of the things. And the thing is, it's been stacked against us. You know, these huge corporations that are feeding into the whole, hey, we've got a big bargain here. They even treat their employees that way. They're like, oh well, you guys can get on food stamps, no big deal, so we won't pay you as much. Well, we're going to slash our prices so that everybody gets reliant on us, and we are going to make sure that no competition is within the area for you to go to. So now you have no choice but to come to us. And not everybody has the gas money to drive out of town to get away from that. I mean, there's just lots to think about. So again, don't attack the person, attack or get mad at the corporation and the city council that allowed that to happen, kind of thing.
Yeah, and don't buy into the propaganda, because we all know like a couple years ago, certain coffee house that over roast their beans and their coffee tastes burnt every time. They were like, oh, we're gonna hire all these if you're an illegal immigrant, we will give you a job. Do you know, there in all of that, their market share exploded. And all their marketing and stuff like that, they only actually ever hired like one manager of one store, hired illegal immigrants, and she was fired.
Well,
Well,
that's like,
And people were posting, we support this company, and they were posting pictures. Go daily and get your coffee there of their $10, $8, $10. Once you tip the barista, they're a super expensive slap frap mocha cap. And there were people that were like, and I saw people that were like, I'm not going to have money for rent because I'm supporting this cause. And it's like, why are you supporting this marketing cause that isn't helping the people you want to help? And it's just throwing money at this corporate entity. And so, yeah, if you're going to boycott, if you're going to protest, do it with discretion. Do your own research. And I know that everyone mocks the do your own research as like a Gen X thing. Oh yeah, Gen X telling us to do our own research again. Yeah. That's because Instagram news, TikTok news, those aren't news stations. They're propaganda platforms.
so are the big ones,
And
unfortunately.
legacy media. They repealed the Smith-Mundt Act. And if you don't know what the Smith-Mundt Act is, it was legislation passed saying the news media outlets could not lie to the American public or present propaganda as news. So the Smith-Mundt Act was repealed during the Obama administration. And ever since then, more than since then, we've not gotten honest news literally since Nixon was in office. Nixon was the last time we got honest news.
Walter Cronkite. I
Walter
never could.
Cronkite.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. So yeah, the age of honest news now means you're mining. You're basically panning for
Let's find
gold,
it.
get real news, and it's there are still countries in the world that have the equivalent of the Smith-Mundt Act, and you can go watch their news and watch their news in subtitles because it's
well, that's just like the big WM when they were moving into the towns, and the way that they were taking over, and all the little small stores were getting run out, mom and pop stores, because they were getting tax cuts to come into the towns. They still get huge tax cuts, 10-year tax cuts to come into these towns, and it knocks businesses out, and their employees make hardly anything, and they get treated like crud, man. And it's not like they used to be before the original owner passed, because they had good products that came in the store and everything else. But when he passed, it all went downhill, and nothing's good anymore. So, but we're reliant, we're dependent on them. Can't get away from it. And all these small little mom and pop shops get run out. Well, here around our town, we have weeks or some. We pick like a week out of each month or so that everybody goes to the little mom and pop shops and buys. They don't go into the big stores and buy. They go into the little mom and pop shops to buy, to kind of help them out. So, and we have a lot of market square times to try to help out. So, but it's bad. Yeah, the big companies are bad.
Yeah, we've it's kind of been a taking it upon ourselves kind of thing of shopping local as much as possible, and also making sure that people understand that some of these big platforms, as far as the digital platforms, that's how people make their money, whether they're, no matter what kind of creator they are. They're also a small business. They just happen to have opened up a storefront, just like kind of like authors have their books on Amazon, they have storefronts too for small businesses. There are content creators. One of the first ones that pops into my head is a girl and her dogs who does grooming videos and stuff. And she does all of her, she's gotten to a point now where she has enough viewers on YouTube where she can do grooming and stuff for free for troubled dogs. And she donates a lot to the local ASPCA and the shelters and stuff. And one of her side incomes is she has an Amazon shop that she sells her products through. And again, small business, charities, she, all the works,
Yeah.
all the good things, but that's a huge side income that allows her to do all these things for other people by having that income. And just keep that in mind. I know we got off topic. We're good at that.
Yeah,
but
but yeah,
it's important.
It's be aware of who you support. First of all, when you're doing these protests and these boycotts and stuff, and don't just be aware of what they say they support on social media platforms. Like if you're going to invest in these, dig into them, do it with discrimination, do it with awareness, because you never know what is in the background of some of these companies, no matter how much, and they cherry pick their image. And it's and sadly, we are finding out that the exact same thing happened with the Black Lives Matter movement. All millions and millions of dollars are missing. They never went to communities. They never went to centers. They never went to legal representation for minorities. None of it. It millions of dollars.
Every organization can be susceptible to corruption,
are just gone.
So be careful.
And it's like, this. So yeah, when especially these movements that start on social media, be aware. Just you have to really, really look at them with a microscope before you start going into things, because sadly, and I this is the anthropologist in me speaking, groups of humans will find reasons to hate other groups of humans. And it goes back to herd dynamics, mammalian herd dynamics, and the acquisition of things that support their group. And if you don't believe me, look at Serengeti herd movements. Everyone's like, oh, look at all the animals moving together across the Serengeti. It's the circle of life. Yeah, no. These animals group up and they move in groups together. They're not this homogenous, large Noah's Ark kind of a thing, everybody moving together. They group up to look for certain resources. And if too many zebras get in with too many ibexes, they start fighting. It's not just, they don't just fight the wild dogs and the hyenas and the lions. They fight with each other. Water buffaloes moving in these groups, they want a specific resource. Nobody really fights with the elephant, because the elephants will just pick you up and chuck you. And that is an actual if an elephant runs you over, yeah, you're dinner for something else. So yeah, it all goes back to herd mentality. It's resource management and who controls. And unfortunately, modern society, our Serengeti is the electronic landscape, and this is the resource that everyone wants.
Yep. So on to something more light. Question: what do you do when your family keeps stealing your pens?
Well, I'm a nurse. That doesn't happen because they want to live. So
even says super glue.
The one thing you don't steal from a nurse is pens. So
yeah. You know what my thing was? I found pins that have curse words on them, and I keep
Oh.
those.
Mama Maggie was showing her pins. I would show mine, but I got like 3 drawers of them over here, and that's
these are my these are my editing pens. I have the full rainbow of editing pens, and plus I have an entire just black pens and blue pens and red pens.
These are the ones I keep at my desk. So you see,
Yeah,
these are my desk pens.
yeah. It's my husband makes fun of me because like he'll say we'll be somewhere and he'll be like, I need a pen, and I'll like pull out this handful of pens from my purse, and I'm like, what color?
Gave me this one.
That's one of them. I was like, oh yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that, Mama Maggie? I wonder who gave me that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got 2 of them over there. I'm just not going to risk having them fall all over me. Eva shared a link to freelance journalists in case anybody wants to check them out.
Can't you tell I'm a nurse? See?
Yeah.
I got drawers and drawers like this because I'm a nurse, and this is what I do. I collect pens. Yeah.
And then I believe, yes, humans do human things. Doggos, though, they are amazing. Yes, because we got to see the corgi. I know they're always somewhere.
Right there.
He was driving me crazy. He kept pushing me away from my desk. So sorry about that.
JoJo is in the other room. She wound up passing out in the living room before I started, so she's not in here with us.
Oh, well, Milo, he stays underneath the desk, but when he hears all the girls, he has to come out because he thinks he's got to be the center of attention. He aggravates me every night, so he has to be center of attention. And
hi, Sacco.
Until he was able to come out and say hello, he would not leave me alone. He kept pushing me away. So, yeah.
Kona is Master Sheet Strength Checker, Quilt Hole Finder. JoJo right now is that way because I need to get her nails clipped. Poor thing. That's me. It's on me. Yeah. Hey. Hello. Let's see. That popped back up for some reason.
Well, and then he thinks Rach is his going to get him out of trouble, is what he thinks, because he hears her all the time.
Eva has another suggestion: coat the pins in baby oil. It's a matter of if you've got pins and you notice that they're disappearing and people are using them and it annoys you, you can set up a fake pin thing. And one of the things that I used to do is I would save for when my kids were teenagers. They don't know this. They'll know this if they watch this. I would save all of my empty pins or my broken pins. And I put them in a specific container because I didn't have it was like a regular cup that I had like 2 or 3 of the same cups. So I got one of the cups I didn't care about and I put the pins in it so that they would think, it was a decoy pin holder. So they would come by and they're like, oh, mom's always got pins in her cup. I can just grab one of those. It was broken or it didn't work or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do now. And I kept my pins somewhere else at that point.
Here, 1 second.
Hello, Sacco. Kona has stuck her nose in 2 holes and just lay there like, look, mend it now. She's trying to be useful, Mom.
Not evil. Not evil.
Put pin caps on the end of unsharpened pencils. Yeah.
I thought I heard hubby get up. Yeah, no, I had to solve my pen problem the way I solved my stethoscope problem, because the doctors will walk off with your stethoscope and you never get it back.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. So I got my stethoscope.
That is a thing.
It is. I got my stethoscope and it's tattooed. It looks like tattoo printing all over it. So they can't say, "Oh no, this is mine." No, not unless you have tattoos all over yours. So mine has tattoos on it, and then my pins that I usually take have things like Rachel sends me, because unless they're walking around with things like that written on their pins, it's not yours. So those are the ones I take with me when I have to go to the hospital. So when they borrow my pin, I know it's mine. Yeah.
Do we have time for one more question, or are we ready to close out? What do you think, guys?
That's up to you. I'm good.
I can do one more.
I can do one more.
Okay. Because a lot of us are introverts, I wanted to put this up there.
How does networking and being part of an author community/communities or even mastermind groups help with blocks and barricades?
I know a lot of people are hesitant about getting involved, and I just wanted us to let everybody know why you should get involved.
Well, I'm extremely a recluse. I work from home, and I hardly ever leave my home. So I get being part of these. Sorry, my otters are running rampant this morning, and I apologize. But it drags me out and forces me to socialize, and it helps with my barricades because sometimes I do get writer's block, and when we have these conversations, it kind of helps me get more ideas of how to work through those. So that's the way I do it.
So for me, I get a lot of help when I bounce ideas off people, and like help work through plot holes and stuff like that. Sometimes I just need to speak it out loud and to figure it out myself, but it helps to have input. And so talking to other writers or people that it helps to do it with people who do know your story and people who don't know your story, so you get both perspectives and outside the box ideas. And so just bouncing ideas off people and talking about it, and I'm so tired. Just going through multiple communities is always fun. I've been part of local communities in Toronto. I've been part of authorship communities here online. They've all helped in different ways with different goals. Like one of them, we would read up to 2,000 words of each other's piece every week and give feedback live on a Discord call. So that was always awesome because I could get a short story beta read and critiqued every week if I had one. And yeah, so that was awesome. And just having support has also been helpful. So if I get in a slump, being able to have someone commiserate has been nice. So, yeah.
I look at it in like two parts. First of all, I look at it from the broader publishing writing thing of being parts of communities, multiple communities, let you be aware of not just trends and scandals that are happening, but also new things that are coming out, things in marketing, events like the Stuff Your Kindle. Like a lot of times, they'll have like free weekend events. Like they'll have like a free fantasy author events where everybody's, for a weekend where a whole hundreds of writers are putting their fantasy books up for free. The Stuff Your Kindle romance things that happen. And if you're not in the writing community, by the time you find out when these events are happening, and I'm pretty well connected. You guys know I'm all over the place. But there are some events that it's like, I'm like, oh, this is going on this weekend. Things I didn't even hear about. And it takes 48 to 72 hours to get these sales set up plus the marketing you need to do to say, my book is going to be free on this weekend for this thing. So those things are important. But on the flip side of that is being a writer is a very isolated job, because you are here and you are here and you're not like out moving around in the world. And it can be, and introverts for the most part were fine and everything, but there is a thing of getting too far into your world. So being part of a community makes you feel connected. It gives you that herd socialization that our little mammal brain wants. But it can also, like, if you're really stuck, if you're like in a place where you're like, okay, so the muse has run off in one direction, my characters ran off chasing her, my plot demon is over here screeching at me to come back, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go from here. If you have other people that are also writers or readers even in the community that are like, that can go, well, why not this? Why not this? They can come up with things you never thought about. They can come up with a twist or a turn or something that can get you through a block when you're like, I don't know where to go with this. So having someone with different goggles, with different experience goggles, looking at something that has completely stumped you can save your book. It can save your affection for your book. Because sometimes you just hit a place where you're like, I'm just going to start pulling these pages out and feeding them to my goats, because
it also helps to have people in your group that are on other social medias than you, so that you do hear, oh, on Facebook, they've announced that the applications are due this week for this Stuff Your Kindle event. Be like, oh, I should go on Facebook. Okay. So just to have ears out everywhere. It's been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. The awareness part, people help you out. They let you know about different things. You're just like, oh, wait, yeah, okay, that helps me out. Specifically, like roadblocks and barricades, as far as where your writing is concerned, that's really important to me, because I've part of enough groups that I'm like, hey, can you give me feedback on this piece here? Or, hey, can you give me feedback on this? Or, hey, this just happened. And it goes back as far as what our original question was, as far as, being tough and toughening up your skin. When you've got a bunch of people who are in the same boat as you, you can be like, hey, so I got this feedback. What do you think this means? Or what do you think about this? So that you're taking it out of your brain, because you may have a bias of what they're trying to say. That little imp is in there telling you something, and somebody else can read it and go, oh, that's easy. They just meant this, this, and this. And you're like, oh, so it takes you out of that negative frame of mind. And that's happened to me a couple of times, because I was like, do they mean anything bad by this? Or is this, what do you think this means? And then when somebody else looks at it, it's like, oh, and it completely rerouted what I was about to do, or what I was about to change, not change in my book, or whatever.
Also, as writers, we when we get backed into a corner with this, we are wearing our world goggles, we are seeing that world through the world building goggles that we created. And people who are outside the world might not necessarily see something. It's like when I was finishing the last 4 books of Relic of Time Wars, when I was doing the rewrite, the character Darcy, I knew everything about. I had all this Darcy stuff in my head, but Darcy ended up for books 10 through 14. Darcy ended up looking like a pop-up character, because while in my mind I knew Darcy's interactions with all these characters, all of her stuff was not getting page time. And I ended up adding 30,000 words to the series across 4 books. So Darcy was not a pop-up character, because in my head, I knew Darcy's story. I knew her backstory. I knew her arc. I know everything about Darcy. But Darcy wasn't in the books other than as Damien's assassin and Daisy's childhood friend. That's all she was. There was no, Darcy had no story. And then the one of the books ends with this huge event with Darcy, and the next book starts with Darcy's revenge. And it was a thing like, who is this character and why haven't we seen her since book 3? You know, why has she only had one scene every book since book 3? So it's having other people look at things really can give you a perspective that as the writer you're not seeing, because you have the information, you're just not presenting the information.
Plus, you've got it's a group of writers, so they're again going through the same kind of things. It's like they've had to deal with critiques, they've had to deal with beta reads, they've had to deal with these impossible schedules that we give ourselves sometimes. So they can help out with making you feel like, okay, so I'm not alone, and that's very important. It's like Rita was saying, my own mastermind group through Publish and Thrive is amazing. A small group of fellow writers to chat and learn together. I was so nervous with my first critique, but all the chatting helped because everybody's probably chatting about, hey, this is what I've been through. Also, having those there from a practical standpoint is really good. Like Laura was talking about, there are things that they will let you know about the industry and about changes that are happening and about little things that are happening behind the scenes that that other people may not know about, but they're willing to share that because we're all authors here. We all are in the same boat. You may want to know about this. Hey, just an FYI, this is what I found out, kind of thing.
Well,
that has been valuable for me as I go from platform to platform to platform when it comes to the serial writing. Knowing
Bella was shutting down at the same time that Reem was having a meltdown. And there was a lot of people that didn't know what was going on. And now there's the whole thing of what came out in the Atlantic this last week about, all of these plagiarized works are being dumped into these AIs, and we've created a tool where you can literally type in your author name and find out if your work is part of this thing. And so, yeah, it's awareness is to keep your books safe. Awareness is a thing that gets spread around the communities. A lot of times, what is it? Scribble is that. Is it Scribe? Scribe is that AI publishing app that is being developed, and they want it where it's not being created by authors and editors and writers. It's being created by programmers and marketers, and it's basically AI vanity press. And you send them your manuscript and you pay them a couple $1,000, and they run it through some AIs that they've programmed. They send it back to you to change it. You send it back to them, and then they have all the AI formatting and stuff like that. And they got millions in grant money and funding and stuff. And they're like, we want to start putting 8,000 to 10,000 books out a year. And
any regular author is looking at that going, that's
all the authors that like work and stuff. We're all like, and it's their pricing is you're thousands of dollars in debt before your book ever hits press. And
you don't have to be.
And you don't have to be. And the thing is my most disturbing thing is okay, I started writing after I had a stroke because I had to relearn language. I decided to start publishing because I've got mountains of words. I went through, put in the effort, learning all of this stuff, so much stuff. And it's, there's mistakes made, but I can tell you that there are differences between having humans with our squirrely little mind go over books versus having an AI go over books, because we've all seen the absolutely ridiculous things that GPT writes sometimes. And so it's, the machine is only as smart as you make it. And that's what AI is it's a comparison generation machine. It compares what you wrote to what everyone else in your genre is writing. And for genre mashers, everybody here, the AI doesn't know what to do with us. So
Yeah.
it's, this is and this is the future for like authors. This is the future that we're going to be looking at, and being aware of generative AI versus non-generative AI. These are issues that we are going to be dealing with. Like when the Simon Schuster case was going on, it came out, the publishing industry came out that, the vast majority of printed books, and we're talking like 95% of printed books, through the lifetime of that book, will not sell more than a few hundred copies in printed form. Ebooks, no telling, but it's like we need awareness. And, we would never learn these things if people weren't sharing these within the communities, because business is business, and the pub houses want you to keep sending all your manuscripts to them. And, the Screenwriters Guild, this was a court case that no one expected to spill over into the writing world, because they were hiring screenwriters to create series, paying them to create that world, do one season of shows, and then firing everybody and bringing in basically much lower paid intern screenwriters to complete the series.
Yeah.
And they're
no quality in that at all. Thanks a lot. Now we wonder, what's going on.
And they're doing it with authors. They're doing it with animes. It happened with Disney. Disney bought Marvel, and now they're going after everybody who does any adjacent related content, and they're going after all the original creators, saying you can't use your content. Media houses are buying that, like somebody's got a series, and they're like, okay, we want to buy and put out the first book in your series, and leverage, and they'll put in the contract they're leveraging the rights for the rest of the series. Well, if they put out the first book, or maybe the first and second book, and it's not some super smash success, they just shelve it, and the author's like, wait, I've got another book, 2 more books, 5 more books, 10 more books in this series. But now the author is stuck, and they cannot get their rights back for 3 years, 5 years, a decade.
And it's also important, where we can share our thoughts on organizations like the Alliance of Independent Authors and things like that. And if you've got more authors together, just like any kind of union setup, you've got more authors together who are facing these problems, then if they're together, that's stronger than a single author out there, especially independent author alone, having to deal with these situations. We can also warn each other about the big, even if we're not going in indie direction, we're going in a traditional direction. Anything that's happening within the industry, within the publishing houses, we can let each other know, hey, by the way, this is going on, whether it be negative or positive. And so it's not just from a standpoint of, hey, you're going to get inspiration, you're going to get critique, you're going to get advice from other authors who have been there, done that, or are on the same path that you're on. But it's a matter of the practical part too, like Maggie and Laura were saying too, about the practical parts where we're sharing information behind the scenes.
Just like which tools are you using for formatting? Does anyone know of a free formatting tool? Because I can't afford Atticus. Things like that. Having a community means that you can find a lot of resources. It's not just like, I have a story block. I don't know where to go with this plot. I don't know what to do with this character. There's also things like, this format is going away. Mobi files are going away in 2 years. And now the Mobi files went away this month. They're going away this month on Amazon. Everything has to be EPUB. And there's a lot of authors that are out that aren't part of the community, aren't like they're a part of AuthorTube in general. And they were like, oh my goodness, January 1st is here. Now they're throwing away this whole format and all my books are in this format. I was like, no, they've been talking about getting rid of this for literally years. It's just, no one told you. You weren't in a position to find out I don't know, like authors who are not on social media or part of like the online community. I don't know how they do it, honestly, because things change.
That is one reason people are
fast.
like so against social media. And I'm like, okay, but the thing is you get updates. I mean, it's kind of a necessary evil when it comes to that kind of thing. You get updates from other authors and you see what's going on. I don't really particularly like Facebook or Meta, but I'm getting information from everybody and I'm staying in touch with everybody. And that's part of the reason. I think that we've covered everything, and we are getting close to the 1:30 hour. If you guys want to go ahead, if there's anything you want to say in closing, and also do your outros, I'm going to go have you go for it. We'll start with Dawn, then Laura, then Mama Maggie.
Hello, I'm Dawn. It's nice to be here. I'm co-author with Rach on the Dragon Tasker series. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But yeah, that's about it for me.
I just found out that, the Atlantic tool to figure out if your books and stuff are pirated and then used to train meta. My sister's research papers for her environmental science stuff were all in there as well.
There, the one author that I constantly get mistaken for when it comes to like Goodreads, when I put new books up, Goodreads and stuff like that, they also have these kind of published papers and published journals up on there. And the reason I know that is because there is a Rachel Adams that does it, and she's an amazing person. Yeah, all her stuff's in there. I noticed it the other day when I tried to look myself up. I'm not in there, yay, but I felt really bad about that because it's like it looks like they went after the academic published papers first.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sorry. I'm texting her right now. She's like, what the heck? But yeah, I am Lord Nettles. I mostly write horror, but I also am branching into fantasy. Not fantasy, well, that too. And
romantic.
Not quite.
It's romantasy. It's dark romantasy, but it's romantasy.
Well, Crimson Strings is 90s, so it's not quite high fantasy. But yeah, so I am here. I am super excited to dive into my new Halloween fantasy world. So it's like The Night Before Christmas meets Rise of the Guardians. So I am having a blast, and yeah, it's me.
Right, because you love it, not because of any ideas that the world is. Just write your books. Write your books because you love it, because someone else is waiting for it. And yeah. I am Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, migraine overcomer. I've got a lot of books out because I was told you have brain damage, you shouldn't write it all. And I said, boof you, I'm going to do it anyway because I'm just, telling me I can't do something. You might as well just throw gas and a match on me because I'm going to do it anyway. Just from today, it's like, three things. Don't take criticism personally. And if somebody writes a critique that is a personal attack, that's not a real critique. It's not personal. And just do your own research. Whenever a scandal or a boycott or something comes up, do your own research. Find out, and be discriminating. Find out who something hurts before you start pushing forward on it. Reach out to your peers. Everybody's going through this in different levels and different ways. They might see something you don't see because we're indie authors. We don't have a pub house standing behind us. We don't have a group of 20 people going over all of our stuff before our book hits markets. We have each other. And that's what makes us stronger, is because, there's, you're not going to end up alone unless you want to be in this community, because, we're all willing to stand up and help people. And I've read stuff that's like so far out of my genre types to help friends because, and just, don't be afraid to reach out if you've got a problem. There are no stupid questions. Don't listen to the imp telling you you're stupid. Your question is stupid. You don't know what you're doing. That's the whole point of being born, breathing, living all the way to the end, is none of us know what we're doing and none of us are making out of it alive. So have fun. Love, laugh, and eat cake.
I'll take ice cream, but that's okay. I am Rachel Adams. I volunteered to host this time. I'm a urban fantasy, paranormal romance author, but I would say I'm multi-genre when it comes down to it. As Mama Maggie has said, a genre slut, and I actually have the cup too. So just to prove it. And that is going to be all for us. If you have any more questions, please put them in the comments. We will be taking questions from comments. Also, we have a Facebook page that we take questions on. Feel free to join that group so that you can ask any questions you want. And I think that's it. I think that's going to be a wrap. I hope you guys come back next weekend, every Sunday at 10 a.m. that we can make it happen. We make it happen. Thank you for coming.